let me start by saying this. The most powerful relationship you will ever have is the one you cultivate with yourself. And the quiet ache, it's not about cutting people off or closing your heart. It's about stepping into a place so strong and whole that you no longer need anyone else to validate, complete, or rescue you. And today, in the quiet H, I'm going to share with you the secret that transforms your life from seeking connection to being connection. So deeply grounded in your own worth that the world stops shaking your foundation. At Ache, radical self-acceptance is not a klitsch affirmation or a fleeting feel-good moment. It's a daily practice, a deep reckoning with who you are. Without the masks, without the performance, without the highlight reel. It's sitting with yourself and saying, even with the things I wish I could change, quiet H, even with the parts of me that feel unfinished or too much or not enough, I am still worthy of love, joy, and belonging. Most of us are taught early on that we need to earn acceptance. We're conditioned to believe that being loved comes with conditions. Get the grades, quiet H, and look a certain way, stay quiet, please others, don't rock the boat. So we learn to contort ourselves into versions of who we think the world wants us to be. We hustle for approval. We become masterful at hiding the parts of ourselves that feel messy or complicated or different. And while we might gain acceptance from others, we begin to lose acceptance from the one person who matters most in ourselves. Radical self-acceptance flips that script. It doesn't mean you stop growing or evolving. It doesn't mean you throw your hands up and say, this is just who I am. Take it or leave it. No, what it means is that you stop attaching your worth to your progress. It means you stop punishing yourself for being human. It means you look in the mirror and meet your reflection with compassion instead of criticism. You stop saying, ill, love myself, wing, and start saying, I am worthy now. This kind of acceptance is liberating. Because once you stop needing permission to be who you are, Ache, you stop living in fear of rejection. You no longer base your decisions on how others will perceive you. You make choices aligned with your truth, your values, your voice, H. And that alignment creates a deep internal peace that no amount of external praise or validation can replicate. When you radically accept yourself, shame begins to lose its grip, quiet H. The stories that say you're not enough or too broken or too far gone, they begin to unravel. Ache. You see your mistakes not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as part of your learning. You recognize that you can be both a work in progress and a person of immense value at the same time. It's not always easy. Radical self-acceptance takes courage. And the quiet ache, it takes showing up day after day, especially on the days you feel unlovable or invisible. It means choosing to stand in your own story, even when it's complicated or painful, and saying, this is me, all of me, and I am still deserving. And when you reach that place, when you stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, you realize you don't need anyone to complete you. You are already whole. Every connection after that becomes a choice, not a necessity. And the quiet H. You're not driven by fear of being alone. You're guided by the strength of being fully known by you. That is the freedom you've been waiting for. That is the secret that changes everything. We grow up in a world that tells us to armor up. Be strong. Don't cry. Don't let them see you struggle. We hear things like, toughen up, keep your chin up, or never let them see you sweat. And over time, quiet ache, we internalize the message that showing emotion, especially the hard ones like fear, sadness, or uncertainty, is a liability. That if we're vulnerable, we're weak. Quiet, we become masters of hiding, numbing and pretending. We tell ourselves that if we don't people see our soft spots, they can't hurt us. If we stay guarded, we'll stay safe. But here's the truth: vulnerability isn't weakness. It's courage in motion. It's showing up when there are no guarantees. It's choosing to be seen when everything in you is telling you to shrink back. It's telling the truth about your struggles, your doubts, your hopes, and your fears, even when your voice shakes. Think about the moments that have deeply moved you. When someone shared their story of failure, heartbreak, or loss. When someone said, "I'm scared too," or "I don't have it all together." Those moments don't weaken your perception of them. They strengthen the connection. They make you feel less alone. Why? Because vulnerability creates intimacy. It's the bridge that connects us through our shared humanity. In our culture, we're often rewarded for perfection. We post the highlight reels, we wear masks of composure, we package our lives to look polished and effortless, in the quiet ache. But real strength isn't found in the polish. Real strength is found in the messy, unfiltered truth of our lives. It's found in saying, "I'm not okay right now, but I'm still showing up." It's in choosing to love again after loss, to trust again after betrayal, to risk again after failure. That's not weakness. That's bravery and the quiet H. Vulnerability is what allows us to love and be loved. It's what makes creativity possible. Every time you share an idea, a piece of art, or a vision for the future, the quiet H, you're risking rejection. And yet we do it anyway. Because something inside us knows that living fully means opening ourselves up, even to disappointment, even to heartbreak. But let's be clear, vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or spilling your story to people who haven't earned the right to hear it. H. It means being honest with yourself and with the people who matter. It means acknowledging your emotions instead of suppressing them. It means reaching out instead of isolating. And the quiet H. It means saying, "This is who I am, and I'm not going to pretend to be someone else to make you comfortable." And here's the paradox: when we embrace vulnerability, we become stronger, we become more resilient. We stop running from our pain and start learning from it. And the quiet H. We stop trying to control everything and start trusting ourselves to handle whatever comes. Vulnerability teaches us that we can survive the hard conversations, the broken moments, the long nights, and not just survive, but grow. So if you've been told that vulnerability is weakness, let this be the reminder, H. It is the birthplace of everything meaningful. It's the foundation of trust, the seed of courage, the soil where empathy and belonging grow. The ache. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be bulletproof. You just need to be real. Because in the end, what people remember most is not how perfect you were and the quiet ache, but how deeply you were willing to show up with your whole heart. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely, H, and it's one of the most misunderstood distinctions in our culture. We're wired for connection, yes, but somewhere along the way, we started equating solitude with emptiness, H. We started believing that if we're not surrounded by people, if our calendars aren't packed or our phones aren't buzzing, something must be wrong with us. But the truth is, solitude, real, intentional, sacred solitude, is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. Solitude isn't isolation. H. It's not about shutting people out or retreating because we're broken. It's about creating a space where we can hear our own voice. It's the place where distractions fade, where we can separate our own thoughts from the noise of the world. In solitude, we strip away the roles we play, the caretaker, the achiever, the people pleaser, the one who always has it together. And we return to who we really are underneath all of that. And let me tell you, who you are beneath all that noise is someone worth knowing. And the quiet ache, sacred solitude, allows you to be in conversation with yourself. It's where clarity is born. Ache. It's where you start to distinguish between what's just been inherited. Beliefs, patterns, fears that were never truly yours. Quiet H. It's where you begin to ask the hard questions. What do I really want? What do I believe in? What matters most to me? And H. And it's where you start to find the answers, not anyone else's opinion or expectations, but deep within your own soul. H. There's a quiet power in learning how to sit with yourself. Not to fix anything, not to achieve anything, but simply to be. And yes, at first it can feel uncomfortable. We're so used to constant stimulation, to scrolling and talking and filling every gap in time. When we remove those things, we're left with ourselves. Our thoughts ache. Our feelings, our stories. And sometimes that feels like too much, but it's in that stillness that healing begins. H. It's in that silence that we meet the parts of ourselves we've been avoiding. When we embrace solitude, we start to realize that we are enough. Not in a performative or aspirational way, but in a quiet, deeply rooted way. We stop relying on other people to fill our emptiness, ache, because we've started to discover that there's already fullness inside us. Solitude gives us a chance to recharge, to restore, and to reconnect. Not just with ourselves, but with something greater, something spiritual, something sacred. Some of the most profound breakthroughs happen when we're alone. Some of the deepest insights, quiet H, the most powerful shifts, the most authentic decisions. They come when we're not trying to impress anyone, not trying to keep up, not trying to be anything other than real. In solitude, we learn to validate ourselves. We learn that our thoughts matter. Our dreams matter. Our presence matters. And the beautiful irony is this, H, the more comfortable you become in your own company, the more meaningful your relationships become. And the quiet ache. Because you're no longer connecting out of fear or need or desperation. You're connecting from a place of wholeness. You're no longer looking for someone to complete you. You've done the work of meeting yourself, knowing yourself, loving yourself. And that changes the energy you bring into every room, every conversation, every relationship. So instead of fearing solitude, honor it, protect it. Make space for it like you would for anything sacred. Let it be the place you return to. Not when you've failed, not when you've run out of options, but as a regular practice. A ritual of self-communion. A reminder that you are never truly alone when you're deeply connected to your own soul. You don't need the world's noise to feel alive. Sometimes, H, all you need is a quiet room, a still heart, and the courage to listen to what's been waiting to be heard. Most of us grow up believing that being kind means being available all the time. That being loving means saying yes, even when everything in us is screaming no. And the quiet H, that being strong means pushing through our exhaustion, our discomfort, our resentment, just to keep the peace or avoid letting someone down. But here's what we're rarely taught. You can be kind and still have limits. You can be loving and still say no. You can be generous without abandoning yourself, ache. And that's what building boundaries is all about. It's not about shutting people out, H. It's about choosing to protect your energy so you can show up in the world from a place of authenticity rather than depletion. Boundaries are not about control. And the ache, they're about clarity. They're how we teach people what we will and will not accept in our lives. And for many of us, And the quiet H, the idea of setting boundaries feels scary, maybe even selfish, because we've been conditioned to believe that our value comes from being liked, from being needed, from being the one who always says yes. But the truth is, there is nothing selfish about self-respect. In fact, quiet H. Healthy boundaries are one of the most loving things you can offer to yourself and to others. When you don't set boundaries, you invite chaos. You invite resentment. And the quiet H. You invite exhaustion. You start living someone else's life instead of your own. And over time, you begin to lose the most important relationship you'll ever have, the relationship with yourself. Protecting your energy isn't about being rigid or closed off. It's about being honest. It's about saying, I want to help, but I also need rest. Or, I love you, but I can't keep sacrificing my mental health to carry your burdens. It's about recognizing your limits and honoring them, H, not as a failure, but as an act of self-awareness and courage. One of the hardest lessons is realizing that not everyone will respect your boundaries. And that's okay. The quiet ache. Your boundaries aren't meant to please others, they're meant to protect your peace. And when you hold them with firmness and grace, quiet and the people who truly care about you will adapt. And the ones who don't. That's information. That's clarity. That's truth showing up in plain sight. Ache. Boundaries also teach you to value your time and your emotional bandwidth. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every crisis is yours to fix. Ache. Not every opinion about your life is worth your attention. When you start filtering your energy through the lens of what nourishes me, what honors me, what sustains me, everything begins to change. You stop living on autopilot. You stop living from a place of obligation or guilt. You start choosing what aligns with your values, your needs, your well-being. And here's the beauty of it. When you protect your energy, you become more available to the things and people that truly matter. You show up not out of duty or resentment, but out of desire. Your yes becomes more powerful because it's rooted in truth, not fear. Boundaries create space for healing, for clarity, for creativity. They remind you that you don't have to be everything to everyone. You just have to be true to yourself. And when you live from that place of alignment, you stop pouring from an empty cup. You stop waiting for others to give you permission to rest, to pause, to take care of yourself. You begin to trust your own inner compass. So give yourself that permission now to pause, to draw the line, to say, this is what I need to stay whole. Because your energy is sacred. Your peace is sacred. And you are allowed to protect both unapologetically. There's a myth that's been quietly passed down for generations. The idea that we are incomplete until someone else fills in our missing pieces. It's in our movies, The Quiet Ache, our music, our love stories. We're told to look for our other half, our soulmate, the one who will make us whole. But the truth is, believing we need someone to complete us is the very belief that keeps us from truly knowing our worth. We don't need connection to be whole. We need connection to share our wholeness. When we look to others to fill the emptiness inside us, we hand over our power. We make their presence a condition for our peace. We start measuring our value by their attention, their validation, their ability to stay. And the moment they leave, or fail to show up the way we imagined, we feel lost, unworthy, broken. But here's what's real. The most powerful connections come not from need, but from choice. From two whole people choosing to walk alongside each other, not out of desperation, but out of desire. Not to complete each other, but to complement each other. To encourage, not rescue. To support, not save, quiet H. And we can't create that of connection unless we first know who we are without anyone else. That's the works of building a relationship with yourself, so grounded, so nourishing that you no longer seek connection as a means to escape loneliness. You seek it as a way to expand joy, truth, and shared growth. You choose people who pour into you, not because you're empty, but because you're overflowing. You seek presence over performance, depth over attention, resonance over chemistry. And it begins with getting honest. What kind of relationships are you choosing right now? Do they leave you drained or fulfilled? Do they mirror back your truth or demand your silence? Do you feel seen or do you feel small? We teach people how to treat us by the energy we accept, by the boundaries we hold, H, and by the version of ourselves we bring into the relationship. When you seeing yourself as whole, you stop tolerating relationships that feed off your insecurities. You stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. You stop confusing emotional chaos for passion. You begin to notice who makes you feel safe to be your full self. Messy, honest, growing, and who makes you feel like you need to shrink or perform. The right connections won't ask you to dim your light. And the quiet H, they won't punish your honesty or weaponize your vulnerability. The right connections will hold space for you. Not just when you're thriving, but when you're struggling. Quiet H. They'll celebrate your growth and challenge your comfort zones in ways that honor your soul. And the quiet H. And choosing nourishing connection isn't just about love. It's about friendship, family, community. It's about saying, H, I will no longer surround myself with people who only love the curated version of me. It's about understanding that belonging doesn't require abandoning yourself. And the quiet H, it's about committing to relationships that invite your truth, not erase it. This kind of connection asks for presence, not perfection. It's found in deep conversations, in shared silence, in mutual respect. It's found when we listen without fixing, when we hold space without judgment, when we love without conditions. It's rare, the quiet H, but it becomes more visible when you start living in alignment with your own worth. So if you're walking through life wondering when the right person will come along and finally make you feel whole, pause, turn inward, learn to sit with yourself, learn to meet your own needs, learn to befriend your solitude, tend to your wounds, and honor your voice. Because when you do, something incredible happens. You stop chasing love that's performative, and you start attracting love that's real. You don't need to be completed. You are not a puzzle with missing pieces. Quit H, you are a full, complex, beautiful human being. Choose connection that nourishes that truth, not one that tries to rewrite it. That is the kind of love worth waiting for, and more importantly, worth giving to yourself first. Here's the truth, you will still want connection. We are wired for it. But after learning this secret, the quiet ache, you won't need anyone to make you feel worthy or whole. You will stand in your own power, embrace your vulnerabilities, protect your energy, and choose relationships that bring joy, not dependency. This is radical self-love in action. This is freedom. This is the secret that changes everything.